All right. So we're doing something a little bit different today. We are going to be talking about finding our life purpose, and I wanted to make this conversation because this is Melissa, which I'll introduce in a second, and she's also an entrepreneur, and she has very beautiful mission on this planet, and it's multifaceted, which is very similar to my story as well. So I think that we wanted to just do an exploration about this. So you want to kind of tell us a little bit about what is it that you're doing and about yourself, and just introduce the beautiful Melissa Schwartz.
Thank you, Silvana. So it was fortuitous that Silvana and I got to spend some time together before she's traveling, because we're both kind of in the mindset of like trying to get our own personal ventures off the ground, which is tough because, I personally still need a 9-to-5 for now. Like, we still have to take care of our earthly needs, while we're like reaching for the other things that we want. And that's tough because it's just tough to have like literal energy to do that. Like when you have a hard 9-to-5 job and you're just tired after the end of the day. But you've been here with me when I've been having meetings with people in India, and I created a pillow. This is one of the pillows that I have a provisional patent on, and this is the other one. So it's basically the same design, but one's for the body and one's for the face. And so I never like set out to make a pillow company, but I made this for myself because I needed it. And then I'm like, wow, this is like, I can't sleep one night without this. This is amazing. People are going to like this. So I decided to see if I could patent it and see if I could like bring it to market. But basically, a lot of people I feel like don't know about the applications of pillows that help you not get wrinkles when you sleep at night. And there are some existing pillows out there that do this, but in my experience, they're not very comfortable. But this one is just so comfortable to me. The whole idea about these pillows is you want to like not put pressure here and on your jaw, because like over time that stretches your skin and it can lead to jowls, and it can lead to, severe wrinkles on your eyes, or like eye hooding if you're stretching your brow so much, or like these, like so many lines on your face. So this is the first one I made. I made the face pillow. So you can still sleep with your regular pillow, and then I like this one to be really deflated, so it's just barely just this little line between your face and your pillow that keeps that pressure off those points.
Yeah, and the whole time I've been here, spending time with you, I've been using these pillows, and I usually go to sleep like a dead body, just like that, so I don't, all my face products stay in place, and I'm not squishing my face, but this has been life-changing. It's like, there's like an experience of luxury, which is so, I deeply connect with it because this is Venus, this is Venusian. It's like about beauty and taking care of ourselves. And even though beauty is something that starts from within, it's like the act of loving our body and helping it age and helping it, enter into different seasons of life. It's like that is a form of self-care, and and also comfort. It's all Venusian and luxury. So I'm definitely loving this, and that's why I'm so excited about this project, because this is a patent, and we have gotten to really explore the depths of what entrepreneurship is for the both of us. And it's funny because you mentioned, just the time balancing of like keeping your 9-to-5 while at the same time putting so much effort and energy into this product. And then the other side of it is kind of like my experience, which is I don't have a 9-to-5, and the stress of the uncertainty, and like the, when there is a bad month, like literally not having money for basic necessities, and just stretching on that. So it's almost like it doesn't matter what side you're taking it from. We're being stretched out of our comfort zones whenever we choose to venture out. And also there is, dealing with like the mental limitations of, okay, we have the time constraint, and for me, a big part of the story is like, okay, as a woman, what does that mean to be an entrepreneur? And it's just so deeply complex.
And I think one of the things that's very important to you in your mission, from what I'm hearing, is helping people gain independence, not just financial, but like emotional independence. And that's what Pink Tantra, I like to say it like Silvana says it, Pink Tantra.
Pink Tantra.
She makes it sound so sexy. But that's what that's about. And I think whether it's a conscious choice that someone at the, powers that be are making or not, which I tend to think it is, but there's so many things in place to keep us in this routine of working for someone else. And I mean, like enslaving our time, really. And there's all these ideas that like, well, if people are given the things that they need, they won't work hard. And I think that's not true at all. Mm-hmm. I think it's just that we'll be making value for ourselves and not for someone else. And that's a paradigm shift that has to be fought for, in my opinion.
Yes. Oh my God, I got chills because I have this theme, this history with the energy of enslavement. Like we think slavery is, the historical slavery of just, forced physical labor, and I think as an energy, it evolves as life changes. So now it's like the biggest resource that we have is our time. So whenever we have to trade time for money, for basic necessities, for food, shelter, water, it's like our life force is sapped from us. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, in order to achieve that emotional freedom, we have to have the financial freedom, and vice versa. To achieve the financial freedom, we have to have the emotional freedom. And I think where our stories and our energies really intertwine beautifully is that, I really focus on like the emotional freedom of it by like focusing on like, okay, I want to do Pink Tantra, I want to teach Tantra, I want to teach emotional freedom. And with you, it's like the pillow is also a way that's helping you create that financial freedom from a deeper mission that you feel you have. Do you want to talk a little bit more about like the heart soul calling?
Yeah. So I think I've always known ever since I was a kid that I like came here to do something. Like I felt like that. And in 2004 is when I told Silvana I saved my domain name. So I've been spending a lot of money for a lot of years on my domain name. But eventually what I want to do has more to do with technology, and I want to do like, it's basically kind of a social media platform plus some other functionality. But for me, I was just like, this is the step. Because I mean, Silvana and I were talking about how like it feels bad kind of for her and for me to like put our energy into making money right now when it's not our purpose.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, reframe it. Like you found something that you can do that doesn't feel bad to you, that's going to give you a little more stability. And I actually love my 9-to-5 job. I'm an engineer and I love it.
I never have. That's the thing. It's like, so it's like, it's finding this balance of like, I see, especially because of like the industry that I was in before with coaching and all of that, there's this narrative of, a marketing dream of like, oh, just find freedom in this very easy way. And I got so frustrated with it because I'm like, no, this isn't an easy thing that you do. This, you have to go within, and then you have to learn to like dance with, how do I take care of myself? How do I not neglect the physical reality and still go for my dream? And something that I really learned from you is like, obviously I am where I am right now and I'm like too committed into my path to like, but if I could start over again, if I had the wisdom, now that, 5 years ago that I do now, and I would do it again, it's like creating those stepping stones of
Brooklyn, are you very excited about this? We're filming. Okay, if you want to come up over here.
It's been a very gentle, it hasn't been a very gentle process for me in terms of, I just kind of jumped into the water and it's just what I needed, especially since Tantra involves the 10 Tantric goddesses. And the first Tantric goddess is Kali. And Kali is like the fire of transformation. It's related to time. And what I'm learning from just, your journey as well, it's like, for what you want to create, you need your time because it's gonna take time. And you also need resources. And getting resources from like somebody else, it's almost like, it's okay. let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Brooklyn, it's not all about you all the time. Not all the time, just some of the time, okay? Let Silvana talk, okay?
Okay. All right. So it's been navigating. When do you take risks and when do you stay in safety? And I think, that's what we have been trying to talk about lately. It's like, what is the risk and the safety and speed of things? So it's, it's like, I don't have answers. I don't think you have answers either. This is more of a, just what is, but it's a very good space to start thinking from whenever it comes to what is it that I want to do and how do I get there?
And I think that brings up another good point of like, because there are risks involved. There are some risks involved. And it's just such a blessing when you can have friends that share in that risk with you. That like are I mean, obviously people can't support you like if you're not helping yourself. But like along the way, sometimes there are, friends that can, like, even if it's something small, it's something that you need in that moment and they can help. And that's like such a beautiful thing to like empower each other's success.
Yes, yeah. I think like, entrepreneurship and following your heart when it comes to your purpose is a lonely road. And there are certain points in the journey where, like us, like life brought us together. And you were the first person I met in Colorado, and we had such a beautiful way of meeting. And then we kind of, I went on my way and then we got back together. But there is this sense of you went on your journey and then I went on mine. And then now that we kind of came back into each other's lives, it's like, we both have done so much. And it's similar. It's about finding freedom, whatever freedom means to us, and obviously there's those parts that are the same, which is financial freedom. We're both trying to establish that, but then a deeper level of like emotional freedom for something bigger than ourselves, for the service of, the collective, the planet in a way that inspires us.
Because what we're doing doesn't feel like work. It's important to us. Like you have helped yourself. I've seen it in you since I've met you. Like you have evolved so quickly. We have our friends that we've had throughout our lifetimes and we see, them become better people, and like you like snap, like so much. And I think that just goes to show that you're such the person to help teach other people about emotional independence and about just being the best person that they can be. And you've helped me so much, like even making this video, like making content, especially being on camera, is something that I'm very blocked by. Like I feel like I'm smart. There are a lot of things I can get done. I can watch a tutorial and make a patent, write up, but like sitting here and being on video is very hard for me. Mm-hmm. So like when the universe brought us together for this, I was like, well, maybe this is like a really nice like gift the universe is giving us, because you're teaching me how to be in my own camera when I'm being seen. And that's always been very hard for me.
I find like what you do is also so hard and impressive. Like you're a software engineer and you patented something and you figure out how to do it yourself. Like there's, it's almost like, I'm like, whoa, that's hard. This is easy for me because, you know me, like I talk out of my arms and I'm like, there's a camera, no camera, doesn't matter. I'm in this expression. So I've also gotten so much. And I think like, friendship, it has been a very crucial thing in my life, and I'm not the type of person that has friends. I only have 2 friends that are like lifelong friends. Most of my friends are kind of passengers, that I've met with, precisely because there's so many rapid changes that I feel like I'm constantly changing. And then there's but whenever you can be present with everybody that comes into your life and receive from them, it's transformational. When we met, I wasn't thinking about doing anything on my own, like, or entrepreneurship in any way. But I remember the first time I came over to your house and I was like going through your kitchen and I was like, you are so organized. How did you, and after that, it like changed my life because I went back home, I bought a bunch of mason jars, I bought bulk food, and I'm like, it's almost like I received some form of like energetic order in how to deal with resources and my food. And it has been, it's a symbol. It's a symbol of of the depth of transformation that you can get whenever there's other people that are also on that journey of doing things that you think it's cool, things that are inspirational, aspirational. And I think like that's a new value that I found now in the friendships that I want to create now. And it's like I need to feel some form of inspiration from the people around me, and this has been just such a beautiful symbol of that, giving me information about that.
I think you're not the only one that bought mason jars as soon as they came over to my house. Actually, we decided we're gonna show you how to make some vegan milk, so we'll show you the kitchen in a minute.
Yes, yeah, we'll do that at the end, because it's life changing, especially like talking about resources. And for me, it's been a year of what are the raw basic necessities in life, because I don't have the resources right now to get all fancy and waste money, even with technology, with like softwares and things like that. So it's like, yes, it comes to resources, it comes to also respecting the food, respecting money. And
you can save so much money if you
yes.
buy bulk food, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So these are all like little things all connected to the root of, okay, the first chakra of safety, finding that financial, emotional safety, and taking care of yourself, and also putting love into what you're doing, like making, I don't know, we've been making our own, vegan milk, and I feel so cool. I'm like, look, we made this. Like this is...
Well, it's amazing, okay? I bought this little thing that we're gonna show you. I bought it for like 5 of my friends, and it's $50, but I was like, you guys,
worth it.
This is so amazing. I don't know if they like use it as much as I do, but because you can just have bulk cashews and almonds, and you never have milk in your fridge that goes bad because you just make it when you want it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we were also discussing like other ways that we could make money. Like we'd like to have multiple little streams. I mean, hopefully big streams, but multiple streams. So we were like, well, maybe we can figure out how to do like the affiliate like link for something. Let's give that a shot and see how that goes.
Yeah, and that's a mindset thing. That's like, okay, if I'm constantly thinking about freedom and independence, it's like we get an idea and it's like, okay, how can we create some form of influx into our life from this idea, from this little thing? And in my case, my passion in life is teaching, whatever I'm learning from. So, I've been learning Tantra for many years, but I've been studying it very intensely for like the last few years. So how do I create money from the things that I love, and then also how do I make money in a smart way, in passive ways? And there's no such thing as like fully passive income. I don't believe like that's marketing talk. Don't fall for it.
Agree.
But there are easier or semi-passive ways of like bringing in resources. So all of these, like it's not about what are the things that you do to bring money. It's the mindset of trying to like find different ways in which your creativity can bring in like different flows of income.
And also we're helping other people if you show them something you really love and you're like, hey, I bought this and this like changed my life, because I have a couple of those things that I want to share with people.
Yeah. In terms of like your journey to finding your life purpose, the depth of your life purpose, what helped you find that clarity within?
Drugs. Psychedelics. I think it's just like one of those things that was always inside me. And as you grow and you learn, like, when I was a kid, I didn't really know what the internet was. Like, was the internet even a thing yet? I don't know. But there were just little triggers along the way that I'm like, oh, this is what I know about. This is what I'm going to do better.
In terms of my purpose, for me, it has felt like an onion, very multi-layered process. And it's like, I think it's one thing, and then I go into it and I find something deeper and deeper and deeper. And now that I'm on this path of teaching Tantra, it has like, it's almost that this is something that came to me very recently, but it didn't start very recently. I actually dabbed into a world of Tantra when I was 22 years old in a very traumatic way, I will say, where I was just, found a fake guru that used Tantra as a form of sexual manipulation, and that kind of, like that part of my life, there's a lot of blockages in memories. But then about 5 years ago, I started practicing white Tantra, thanks to a short relationship I had at that time. And after I did my whole like coaching business thing, and then I took it down, and I was like, no, I'm definitely not a coach. I actually don't like, the industry in general. I found that I kind of always go back to like that root healing. And root healing for me has been, sexual in nature, because it's like it's our primordial force. So it's like it always goes back to like the emotional mastery, which is foundational wounds, like developmental wounds of mother and father wound, and then the deeper part of that onion for me has been sexual energy. Now, why is it, why does it feel like a life mission for me? It's because for me, feminine sexuality, specifically when it comes to women, it's such a powerful force in the world, and we see it in the amount of
Guys, no more. Outside.
So female sexuality is the key, and I see it as like a catalyst for collective freedom. Why? Because if we look at the history of the world and all of the root of the Abrahamic religions and just the suppression that humanity has encountered, there has been a very strong suppression of feminine sexuality. It doesn't belong to us. It's almost something that gets traded, sold in the world. So I'm like, why? Why, if we are the least physically stronger gender of our species, why so much control with the sex? So that's what Tantra is about. And Shaktism expresses that, woman having a yoni, it's like being the portal of life. Even if you don't ever have physical children, there is something about the power of the womb and the power of the yoni. And then also in the Vedic text, we see woman as like the manifestation of nature. And the feminine path and the masculine path are opposite in nature, where the masculine path is about controlling the sexual impulse and basically guiding it, like almost like riding a dragon. And for woman, it's about unleashing that and getting really connected to our libido. I had a thought last night when I was falling asleep that was like, okay, there has to be, everything has a beginning, like in terms of a distortion. What's the first wound? What's the first thing that triggers certain things? And with the amount of destruction and war and everything that's happening in the world, it's like the ability for women to say no to certain masculine energies in ourselves and in other people. It's a purifying force of nature. It's almost like the gatekeeper of evolution. So what would happen if we live in a society where women were really connected to their sexual energy and they just created whatever they want from that, right? And we have now freedoms that the women before us have created for ourselves to like work and do this and, be as sexual as we want. Like, what would happen if the world had all of this feminine sexual liberation, if women were more honest about their nose? I've heard so many stories of women that like didn't want to have sex with somebody and they did because it was safer to do that than to get into the conversation of, I don't want to do this. That's, to me, all of that is like, it says a lot. I still don't know what is the, I don't have like the verbal answer. I'm just kind of following this thread of sexuality with creativity, with empowerment, and that's something that's going to continue unfolding. So to make a long story short, it's like purpose, in my point of view, is not this one thing that you do that's like put in a box. It's like a flower that is constantly blooming and opening up and more petals come out. And I think like there's an evolution, but everything's a stepping stone. And we actually we did a mushroom ceremony a few nights ago, and I was like freaking out at the pillows, because I'm like, oh my God, this is big, because there's like so much symbolism, at least in my perception of the pillow and comfort and, Venusian things, especially since my brand is all about Venusian things. And so that was just such a...
And also, interestingly, I think you said it and Pizarro said it too, when you slept with the body pillow, you're like, well, Pizarro was like sometimes I sleep with people just to be cuddled, but I don't need that with the pillow. And I never really had thought of it that way, but it's so true. It's like
I said the same thing. Whenever the first night that I slept with it, I was like, it's like you can cuddle with it and like wrap my legs around it and you're not suffocating anybody.
Yeah, so you're independent.
You're exactly like it creates this sense of like I got everything I need right here, right now.
On that note, I was excited for you to try the body pillow because I feel like you're like me. We're both very curvy. And I think people that have like a curvy butt, it's hard to sleep on your back. And sleeping on your back is really the best for your face because you're not putting that pressure on your face. So like for me to sleep on my back, it's very hard because my spine is in a curved position. But with this, you can put your your ankles over the top of the legs of the pillow, and it really takes that pressure off your back. And then also, if you're one of those people that like has a really hard time sleeping on your back like me, you can sleep on your side, but you sleep on your side facing up because this really comes in towards your back, and that also takes the pressure off your face.
And supports your back.
Yeah. So you said, even though like sometimes the neck wasn't right for you, because like you have to adjust this to make this right for you, but like you always liked the body. Like the body makes you feel good.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's just so many niche things that I can think of with this pillow. This can also be a support for sexuality as well. Like there's just so many.
I know, I was thinking about that. I was like, should I advertise it like that? But like, it totally is.
And and again, I think there's like gonna be an evolution with your product as well. Just because it's there's just so many angles. And I think that's part of the creative mind and part of like really connecting with that raw creative force, because that's what guides,
Mm-hmm, totally.
Yeah.
I wish we recorded when we did our 5 grams. We had a really fun night.
Oh my god, I had a rough patch.
We had a roller coaster of emotions. We were laughing, we were crying.
Yes, yeah. I think one of the lessons from the ceremony that really stuck with me was there was this particular moment where I got really overwhelmed, and I just remember asking you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, should we tell them that the camera like turned itself off? Because we were so excited, that stuff was so good, and then we're gonna cut straight to
Yes, the camera cut us off, so this is part 2 of the 5 grams of mushroom ceremony.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got really overwhelmed. And I remember just like for me, a big theme in all of my ceremonies, whether it be a mushroom or ayahuasca ceremony, has been to have like a purge of saying, I need help. And it doesn't always mean that I need help. It's just a purge. It's an expression. But in this particular thing, I felt like I just really needed to be with somebody. So I remember calling on to you and I'm like, help me, help me. And you're like, okay, how can I help you? And I'm just like, I don't know, because it's like, there's nothing that you could have done to really help me, because it's like, that was my burden, it's my emotion. But I did feel like I was just feeling so needy. And I remember voicing out loud, like, I'm feeling very needy. I'm being very needy right now. And, I just love like the amount of like presence that, you were not trying to like keep me quiet. You were not trying to like make it go away. You were just like, I'm here and how can I help? And that was needed to really process that,
Yeah.
Even though I did feel like, and I was like telling you, I feel like I'm being super needy and I'm pulling so much energy from you, but you felt to me like, how to take care of yourself too, how to like ask for what you need. So I trusted that if you were there, it's because you had the emotional capacity to be there.
And interestingly for me, I think in that moment, that's where I really understood Pink Tantra a little more, because I have relationships with friends that are much less obvious in like, I need something right now, and I feel drained by that. But like in that moment, it was not a problem for me at all. Like I felt, like we're just gonna sit here, and like I felt what it was like to have emotional containment. Like I felt an understanding of what that is. Like you, even though you were freaking out, you were still taking responsibility for your own. I don't even know how to put it into words, but I understand it now.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so that's so interesting that was your perception of it, because basically what we're doing with Tantra, with healing work, with all of these modalities with plant medicine is, for me at least, I feel that whenever we have traumas and certain things in our past, it's almost as if our aura gets like broken, and so that's where energetic leakiness comes from. And the leakiness is like, I don't want to deal with this part of myself, so here, you help me hold this. And that's when we feel kind of like enmeshed with people, or like, you know, like, oh, like I'm just so exhausted by this. With healing work through either plant medicine or through Tantra, it's like you are purifying those emotions. And you know, emotions are visitors, they will come and go. It's not like you purify something and then you never feel it again, but the aura gets healed. It's like it gets sealed, and you're able to expand and contract as needed to really hold your emotions. And that doesn't mean that I'm just like, you know, a meditating monk like you looked at the beginning of the night. Just like,
it just feels good to me to sit like that.
Yeah, you're just channeling. But it does, like, I was still moving energy, and I was saying, I'm being needy. I feel like I have needs. I feel like I want to ask for help. So help me, help me, help me, help me. And that's the purge. But energetically, I wasn't like dragging you into my hell, you know? And I think like that's what can oftentimes happen in plant medicine ceremonies, whether it's mushrooms or ayahuasca, especially ayahuasca, is that there's this like just every soup of everythingness, you know. And our relationship and our friendship has been also like, we both had a very deep interest in exploring healing and exploring psychedelics for our personal reasons. And you are actually one of the very few people that I've known that has done ayahuasca by herself, which is, you know, it's pretty wild to me. So I'm like, you do have some form of your medicines, like even the medicines that come to me through you, they have a particular flavor that has been, I've used for many years to do some solo work. So it's interesting.
I think I've always been a little drawn to psychedelics, and I have a weird relationship to them. Like, I can't microdose, even though I kind of want to, because I like the idea of it. It does super help people with depression, and it helps. I think in general, what psychedelics do is they give you new perspective on your problems, because it kind of takes you a little bit out into your higher self, or just out of your body, to be like looking at situations without how your ego feels about it. And I use that word, but like, it doesn't necessarily denote like ego. But anyway, so like, even if I just do a little bit of mushrooms, it feels like I did 5 grams to me. So that's why I don't microdose. But, you know, that's not to say none of this, including ayahuasca, has never hit me hard, because it has. Like, especially ayahuasca, like you, at least for me, like I do always feel that purge. Like I always, and I have, you know, throughout my experience with it, if I've told people that I've done it by myself, a lot of times people are like, oh, that's a bad idea. And,
Yeah.
and I think it kind of comes down to like what you believe, in my opinion, too. Like, I think some people, maybe it is going to be a better experience for them, and, you know, safer, for lack of a better word, to be in a situation where people are there to contain the space for them. But I think, for me, I'm very sensitive to other people's energy, and I also very much trust myself a lot. So I've had some, you know, the most profound, best experiences I've had have been with myself. And even when they're bad, they're good. Like, even when they're bad, you know, like I don't know if I had an experience exactly like yours, but I have had experiences where I was like just in so much pain, but I was by myself, and it was just kind of like, you know, you can't really ask someone else for help because you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So, but I think I did like ask God for help, you know, I think that's like
God help me.
But I think I think they're amazing tools. And that brings me to another subject. When I learn about like plant medicine of any kind, whether it's marijuana, even like coke, I think in general, like, drugs should be legal. Like, what you do on drugs should be illegal. Like, if you do terrible things to people, if you drive and you hit like, that should be illegal.
Yeah.
But it's sovereignty over your own body,
Exactly.
which is the same thing we keep coming back to.
And it's very, that's a really good point. Like, I will never tell anybody to do ayahuasca by themselves. If somebody tells me I did ayahuasca myself, there'll be a part of me that's like, but the thing about you that I also saw when we did mushrooms is like there's something about your like your soul signature. I think we all have different soul signatures. I feel of this earth. I feel like, you know, like planet Earth is home and has been for a very long time. So there's this and also like being Colombian and just I'm rooted into a very particular flavor of like the consciousness of this planet. You, in the way that you are and express yourself, and just like that, what I feel in your presence is very star-like. And
you know I'm not from this place. She's like,
I start freaking right now. So I'm like, I don't feel the mushrooms, I don't feel them. And I'm looking at Melissa and I'm like, why the fuck does she look like an alien? And I start freaking out. I'm like, don't look at her, just don't look at her.
You know I'm very self-conscious about people. Like when I go outside without makeup on, I'm like, do I look like a human enough? It's true.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like for me, there is an exception on my mind as to when it comes to medicines, and also, and I recognize that even before we ever did anything together, because of the medicines you have given me that have been. Yeah, like it's yours. It's not that you got them from somebody else. They're your medicines. Mm-hmm. So it's just very interesting. Like it's fascinating for me because it has also pushed me out of this paradigm. Like whenever you're into plant medicine, especially like ayahuasca group thing, because there's such a thing as the ayahuasca group thing. It's like, oh no, the indigenous are put on the pedestal because they're the guardians of the medicine, and they are. And there's a lot of toxicity in that as well. And there's all this like rules and dogma, and there's also all this abuse that happens. And also it's like, for me, it's like that doesn't exempt, like plant medicine communities are not exempt from the shadow of humanity. Everything has it. And that's why I don't really feel particularly drawn to do ayahuasca in traditional ways anymore. I don't even know if I ever will do it again. But whenever I, you know, in terms of like getting to know you at a deeper level, at a soul level, with your mission and trying to understand, because there were a lot of things at the beginning I didn't understand, because you're a very unique person. You have a lot of like things that I'm like, I don't know about this. And instead of stepping into judgment, which most people do, I really stepped into curiosity with you. And for me, that was like discovering a brand new world of just very different energies that have been, have really fed me and inspired me in so many ways, both in the world of like plant medicines and psychedelics, and also in, you know, in understanding your mission and your whys and seeing the depth of it. It's like whenever you're sharing that psychedelic space with somebody, you really get to like see a little bit more of themselves versus what you see on the outside. Because on the outside, it's like, it's just beauty, and then you talk to you and there's like all this intelligence and depth. But then on psychedelics, there's this like soul vibration that's very different to me. So it's like our souls have this like very different flavors that are mind expansive. And it also gave me a new attitude of whenever I keep encountering things or situations in my life that I just don't understand, being very mindful of like stepping into curiosity.
I think that is such a powerful thing that you said, that movement from judgment to curiosity, because I mean we're always working on it. Like I'm still working on
Me
that.
too. I'm very judgmental. That's why I have to have such a awareness of it.
And it's rough, you know.
Yeah.
Like I now, over the last couple years, understand why people would be on like all over the political spectrum. And I think by that shift of judgment to being like, hey, why do you really think that? And like listening, instead of listening with a defense to that, like, oh no, this is what I heard, that like why people think like this. It's actually often like very different than you thought.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I talked to you a little bit about this. Like one of my friends that I normally agree with everything, like veganism, politics, like we've done some very strange jumps politically, and we've done them together. And talking about Palestine and Israel has been very hard for us. And because of that, I have so much respect for him And I don't want to hold that judgment. I know what a good person he is. And I want to be curious about what he's talking about. But there's still this part of me that's like, I just don't see that like you see it. But, you know, it makes me wonder, like, if I tried harder to understand, like, is there something I'm missing? And I think that's so important for us to constantly be evolving and being honest with ourselves and being the best person we can be. It's like, you always have to be questioning, like, you know, that's like how I became vegan. Like, most of us weren't born vegan. Most of us, you know, grew up in this world where we eat animal products. But then you get to a certain age and you start asking yourself, you know, you have your friends that are cats and your dogs, and you're like, is this okay? And then, like, you watch these slaughterhouse videos and you're like, is this okay? And, like, I'm just so grateful, like, endlessly grateful for the ability to ask myself questions, and then if I don't like the answers, change, you know?
Yeah, and I think another part, it's like, there's this idea of like, oh, no judgment, right? And just like accept it all. I don't believe in that at all. I think that for me, it's like, okay, I'm aware that there's judgments that I have. And I'm aware that curiosity is the path to kind of, you know, transforming those judgments. And there are times where I'm just not curious, you know? And there's this part of me that's like, I don't want to explore more of that. And my judgment creates a form of separation. And separation, it's part of individuation. Because if I separate myself from a particular energy and I say like, because I made a strong judgment of I'm not that, of course at a soul level, it's me because it's in my reality. But I am doing the conscious choice of saying like, I'm going the opposite direction that this judgment is showing me. I'm diving deeper into almost like refinement and expression of, you know, of life. And I think that's where values come from. Mm-hmm. So there are so many things that, yeah, I can see your point of view, and I'm still honoring the part of me that has that strong judgment, mm-hmm. because it's differentiating me, mm-hmm. from that particular energy. And that creates a sense of identity and containment.
And that's also such personal power to be able to entertain and listen to other people's, yes. you know, what they believe and still be strong in what you believe.
Exactly. And without getting triggered or losing your shit or feeling like you're being attacked because somebody has an exact opposite, you know, perspective on a certain thing that it's close to you. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing about plant medicine. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's no way for me to know this for sure, but the feeling that I get both with ayahuasca and mushrooms is I think those plants have a little bit closer relationship to their oversoul. I think humans probably have it too, but you know, like one plant is still really that plant. It's still really that soul of that plant. So I think in my experience, I feel like it's introduced me to people. Like ayahuasca and mushrooms both have introduced me to people because like it gets to know you and like.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I don't know, you have been there's certain people that have like, there's certain people that you get very emotionally enmeshed with. And then there's certain people that have important like twist points in your life. And you have been that for me because you introduced me to a person that I journeyed with ayahuasca in Colorado.
I knew you guys were going to love each other.
And you said it before. Mm-hmm. And also whenever that relationship got fully severed, you came back into my life, and there was almost like a twist of it, because when we met, I was in a very different state of consciousness, you know, and I honored that version of myself, but there were just so many things that I didn't know about myself, about the medicine, about it, so many things. Mm-hmm. And I think that now that, you know, and there's, I don't know, like I feel like whatever soul contract we have, it's almost like we bridge certain things, mm-hmm. in each other, mm-hmm. that are very powerful. So for me, it's like it's a very full circle moment, this connection, especially with the new journey that I'm taking, because when we met initially, I was on this journey of like, oh, I think I'm gonna become like a medicine woman. Like I'm gonna focus on the plants and healing the plants. And now I'm like, if that happens, it's gonna be probably like after I hit menopause, if I'm still alive by then. But this is not something that I'm gonna adapt into at this, you know, collective consciousness in the world. I think I'm focusing now on entrepreneurship and service with like not spiritual service, but even though what I teach creates spiritual service because it's about, you know, empowerment and emotional, but almost like food, water, and shelter, right? Like that's how I want to build a life that alleviates very real, like tangible problems in the world. And there's an entire lifetime for me to do that if that's what I'm meant to do, you know, because we don't know what time we have. So it's like all this pivoting. And I'm understanding life, like life weaves itself, and we think life is like this thing because the mind sees everything like that, but it's just this very elaborate blanket of different points coming together. And how is it that we are mushrooms and I'm having breakthroughs with the idea of a pillow, the depth of like what a pillow means and the comfort, and in my personal story of like deserving to experience comfort and liberate myself from the mental slavery of like having sexual trauma, having childhood trauma, or like feeling limited by being a woman, or like I share with you, feeling like for many years I feel limited by being an immigrant in America. There was an unworthiness connected to that, and I've been like breaking out of like these mental enslavement.
And it's such a superpower. I mean, listen to that accent. Like anybody would listen to you say anything.
She's always saying that in front of people, and I get old.
But I'm like as straight can be. I'd like to believe that like if I liked women, I would allow myself to do that. But like I don't. But I'm just like, Silvana, you're so sexy. Like even when you felt like barfing the other night, like your accent, you can still hear it. It's like
I was
as you're retching, it was like still really beautiful.
Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna type that in my journal. Melissa thinks my barfing is sexy.
It was still cute.
Oh my god.
But like you were saying, I totally agree, and I think I have friends like that too, and you're one of them for me too, where like there's just like certain serendipities and you're like, I see that.
Yeah.
I see you. And like, I also think sometimes, I'm not sure what I feel about deja vu. Maybe it could be an indicator of a bad thing too. I don't know. But like, for me, it's usually an indicator of a good thing. Like, this was like where we were supposed to be.
Timeline alignment.
Yeah. And like, you being here this time, I felt it like really strong. Like
I
twice.
felt it too.
Yeah.
And it has happened when we've been together where I'm like, oh my God, deja vu right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one beautiful lesson I got from our ceremony too was the whole water incident, the amount of cups.
Oh my gosh, all the cups. All the cups.
Yeah, so she's asking me like, what do you need? Because I'm like, help. And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to say help. And you're like, it's okay. And then you were giving me ideas. And you're like, will water help? I'm like, maybe. I don't know, but maybe. So she brings me water and I see the water and I feel this stuckness, this inability to drink the water. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. How am I gonna get that water in my body? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, maybe juice, because it has sugar. So you bring me juice. And this is happening back and forth. At some point I made a tea. It took like an hour to make a tea.
But then it was very hard to get the tea from the thing into the cup.
And just keep in mind, the only thing you needed to do was this, but that was hard for us. Yeah. And we got to a point where I'm surrounded by cups. And Melissa's like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I help you?
There's like, should we go for a walk? And you're like, yeah, let's go for a walk.
And then you're like, okay, so if we're gonna go for a walk, we need to bundle up, get more clothes on.
Like, can you put your shoes on?
Can you put your shoes on? And when she said, can you put your shoes on? I start taking my clothes off. And we're just having this moment, this epiphany of like, isn't that interesting, right? Like what our minds are saying, this is what we're going to do and have to do. I'm reacting in the opposite way. And also, you try to help me as much as you possibly could, but you couldn't get me to drink the water. You could give me the glass of water, but you couldn't get me to drink the water in like the state of helplessness. And what a beautiful symbol for life. It's like, I'm giving.
I think that's also a very good point too. I think we receive more and better when we are helping ourselves, because the people around you that want to help you, it's very hard to give to someone that's not helping themselves, because it just feels like your resources are just dwindling.
Going into a black hole.
Yeah. But people, whether it's conscious or not, they want to help people that are helping themselves. Because, like, you know, and, like, I don't know. I'm just so excited about your business because your content is so good. And I know that sometimes you feel like you're not getting as many views and, like, it's not growing as fast as you want it to, but it will. Like, you just have to, and I'm saying this to myself too, like, we have to have faith in the vision, even if no one else sees it yet. Like, we know.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, you have helped me so much, and you have helped me in practical, real, 3-dimensional ways, as much as I felt your emotional help. And I think that there are points, like, I'm in a point in my life where I've needed more 3-dimensional real help than emotional help. Like, emotionally, I'm like, I can pull myself out of, like, the depths of hell on my own, and at the same time honoring my neediness, honoring, like, this helplessness that sometimes I feel. But I may, like, when receiving your help, it's this thing of, it's not like, I don't know, maybe I've fallen into patterns, like, in the past where maybe somebody helps me, and because I'm in, like, this other part of life, it's almost like, thank you, and then there's this, like, very quickly, like, it just passes through that way. I'm starting to receive help in a way that's like here, like, it's like receiving it from my heart, and that's creates some form of ripple effect, you know?
That made me think of 2 points I wanted to make. One was, oh shit, what was it? Oh, that the feeling of neediness and the depression, whatever, I think it's a very important lesson to learn for everyone, that it's going to pass.
Yes, the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, like, even the good things in life too.
Everything passes.
Everything.
Yes.
But, like, if you're ever, like, really in emotional pain or just really feeling it, just remember it's gonna pass. Sometimes it takes a long time, but sometimes it doesn't. But just, like, hold on to that. Remember it's gonna pass.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then, I had another really good point, Silvana. What was it? What point did you just finish before I said this?
About receiving help and, like, going through the heart.
Oh, I feel like another theme of our visit this time, and, like, my situations with other friends, is like, reciprocation. And reciprocation looks different in different situations, but I feel like I always want to try to be in a situation, and granted, life isn't like this. Sometimes you need help and you take it where you can get it. But, like, I would love to get to myself to be in a position where when I ask for something or receive something, it's from someone that I would give that much to as well.
Yes.
Even if it's not in exactly the same way, but if it was in a different way. Because I feel like karmically that just feels better. It feels like, you know, more level, more equal, and I like that.
Wow, yeah, that's such an important point. In Vedic astrology, there's a nakshatra called Ashlesha, and Ashlesha is symbolized by the cat yoni, and it's also the coiled kundalini energy, symbolized by the snake. There is a lot of associations between, like, poison and milk when it comes to Ashlesha, because Ashlesha falls under Cancer. And a big lesson of Ashlesha that I've learned through my life and my own exploration of, like, you know, seeing Vedic astrology work out in life, is that whenever you're receiving from somebody, what am I receiving? Am I receiving, you know, the metaphorical nourishing milk, or am I receiving poison? Because whenever we're in states of, like, emotional neediness or struggling physically where we need something, it's like whatever we're receiving has a vibrational signature. And what you're saying is, like, I'm not going to receive from somebody that I wouldn't give the same. For me, it's like, does this person, like, does the energy they hold, where it's through, like, physical items or emotional, is it an energy that I'm willing to drink from? Because receiving is like drinking. and whatever I drink, I have to digest. So it's a form of like, for me, it's about faith in life, trusting the Divine Mother. Like for me, because I grew up Catholic, there was a very big psychological transformation I went through from stepping into a God, Father God, into Mother God, and then merging the both into like God is Father, Mother. It's like both, but I had to first make the differentiation. That unconditional trust that I have into the Divine Mother will provide has allowed me to receive from people whose energy feels nourishing, and it doesn't make me more ill than when I showed up. So it's almost like I feel that I'm learning to identify that before it actually happens. But you can, the easiest way to find out is to allow yourself to receive, which is part of like being in the feminine polarity, and seeing how you feel. And it's almost like I came here in a certain energy and I'm leaving with another energy. Like there's this I feel nourished, and it's just the nourishment has come in very different ways, you know, but it's like I've received the metaphorical milk and water that I needed to keep on my journey, because I'm on this, you know, I'm on a really interesting path right now where I don't really have a home. I don't know where home is. I don't know where I want to create home. I'm in limbo, energetically, physically, emotionally. Everything's in limbo. I don't feel attached to really anything or anyone. And I've also loved the freedom that you give me in our friendship to do that, to detach. And I know you love me even when I detach, and vice versa. It's like there's spaciousness. I feel a lot of spaciousness. And yeah, it's just
I think those are the only relationships that I have that last, because I need a lot of spaciousness, and like I always want to give my friends what they need, but like sometimes, and I think this goes back to pink tantra and like containment, like I do give a lot to the people that I'm close to, and if someone isn't contained in their own energy, it can be very draining. We got cut off again, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap it up with
yes. So since this whole conversation started off on their purpose, finding your purpose and entrepreneurship, what is an advice that you will give people that are looking for their purpose and want to execute it?
I think I have some good advice.
Okay.
Well, one, I think you can't really rush it. I think maybe if it hasn't come to you yet, there are pieces that are related to your mission that you don't have awareness of yet. So your only job is to keep your eye on the prize, know that you want it, and just keep, you know, chugging along. But I remember being at USC and hearing a professor talk about, like, you know, people don't always know what they want to major in and whatever. And he was like, go in a bookstore and just go to the section of books that you like and like see what's interesting to you. So I think that's very powerful advice. It's like, what inspires you? What are you interested in? What do you think is awesome? Like that probably has to do with your mission. What about you?
I just had the thought of like going to the bookstore, where I always walk straight into the occult section of bookstore. So yes, that's great advice.
Me too, I like that section.
Yeah. For me, I will say, based on my journey, the biggest advice for finding your purpose would be to understand that your primary purpose is to be alive as you in this lifetime. And finding the reasons why that is your purpose, it sets up the foundation, because it will prevent the, you know, I don't know, like the self-sacrificing patterns, especially for women, that women oftentimes have, from taking over. It's almost like, if my primary purpose is to be alive in this physical body as this character that I'm playing, then why that is. And it's a thread, you know. Purpose is not like this one thing of like, my purpose is to help women ages 25 to 45. Like it's been a thread, and for me it's been a thread that has evolved. And like I said, it's an onion. Purpose is an onion of just like layers and layers and layers, because we grow and evolve and our consciousness expands and we keep getting to know ourselves more deeply. So to have more looseness with the idea of purpose, and not get so like clung on into like, it's this one thing, and if it doesn't work then I'm like worthless. It's more of like, you know, breathing in and out, and creating more spaciousness, and giving yourself permission to change as many times as you want. If you're watching this from like my channel, then you probably know that I have destroyed things and started over about 4 times by now. And dealing with the fear of judgment of like, what are people are gonna think I'm crazy that I went from like, you know, non-duality philosophy counseling to coaching for feminine empowerment, to coaching for emotional mastery, to not doing anything, to selling tequila, to like like it looks like a mess, and it's my mess, and somehow that entire mess has led me into a sense of purpose versus an idea of purpose. That difference for me, it's crucial.
I think that's such great advice. And also just like knowing that your purpose is being here, like taking that pressure off. Like, I think I've heard this too, and I believe it. I don't know, like I don't want to get too much into like the alien talk, but like the purpose of a lot of people is just to be here to bring the vibration up, just to make the people around you, even if you feel like it's such a small thing, it's really not that small, because the little things we do ripple throughout the universe. So like just by being you and being kind to your friends and being kind to animals, like just living your life, existing as best as you can, it actually is a very like profound thing.
I love that. And in the idea of kindness, it's almost like I think like the way in which I navigated purpose and life and business and everything is like I always put on my mask on, and then I put other people's mask on. Where I've made a lot of mistakes is in like trying to, you know, fix the outside without focusing on myself, because if our primary purpose is to simply exist right here, right now, am I grounded in this existence? Am I actually in my body? Can I like claim this sacred animal that is our body? And I think for that, it's almost like we have to begin with us, because when we fill that cup, it overflows. It's like, and it's not, I know it's a cliche to say that, but it's energetically so true. The love I've got for myself only from that place is that the excess spills over.
And on that topic, another very important thing is being happy. Like being happy is very intertwined to getting to your purpose. So don't feel guilty if you are looking for your purpose and you're trying so hard to figure out what it is. Like just also take some energetic space for you. Just make yourself happy. That's a big one.
I love that. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
Come
much.
here. Oh. This was so great. Oh, I love it.
You guys, this is a Chufamix, not to be confused with a Vitamix. This is the thing that I bought like 5 of for 5 of my friends. So Silvana's gonna show you how to use it.
And check out that pantry, the organization.
Oh.
Please.
Here, come in here. Don't show them the DMT making materials.
Wait, can I go there?
Oh, you're right. You can't. We'll do that later.
People just zoom in, look deeply at that organization. All right, so we're going to make homemade cashew milk. This will save you hundreds of dollars if you also drink milk daily. So we're gonna need some cashews, a blender, and then the device that Melissa so kindly introduced earlier. And what we wanna do is grab just a handful of cashews. I'm gonna show you how much. Hold on. It's pretty good. All right. Kind of like that. So barely covering the blades. And then just some water. Fill it up.
You can also use almonds, by the way.
Yeah, should we put a little bit of almonds?
Yeah.
Only a handful of ingredients, some almonds. If you wanted to add a date, you could for sweeter milk. Although, something that I've learned from Melissa is that if you add sugar, it's not gonna last as long. So, and this also tastes so good. So, hold on.
Yeah, I personally find that I like it without sugar.
Yeah. You don't understand. Like, if you do the math, just the math of how much, and also all the stuff that they put to preserve the milk. Like this is just, I don't know, I'm just so excited. My life has been changed. I'm not even exaggerating. Okay, now the magic happens. Oh my, look at this. Just like, look at that.
That's how much milk you made with just a couple handfuls of...
And it tastes so delicious. So this device is amazing because if you don't have this, you will have to use a cheesecloth, and the cheesecloth does take some time. That's the beauty of this product, is that it doesn't, you don't have to use that.
Yeah, it's so much faster. I wish I had invented this. It's brilliant. Oh, there's Keeney playing ball. Silvana is the one that gave him his name Keeney with no G.
With no G, yeah. His name is King, but I call him Keeney.
Keeney.
We're gonna do this because resourcefulness.
Yeah.
But that's the milk with no pulp. And then if you have puppies, you can give your puppies the pulp like we do over here in this household. So
they know every time they hear this situation happening,
they're
know.
observing. We're all done. Look at all this milk.
Amazing.
Just a few minutes.
I don't know what the math comes out to, but it's so much cheaper.
Yeah. If somebody wants to do the math, please do. Let us know.
I don't even know what it costs to buy like vegan milk in the store anymore because I don't do it.
And that's how you make your own vegan milk.
Hey Kingy, hey Brooke, do you guys want to have some of the pulp? Kingy.
Drop the ball. Good boy.
Good boy, Kingy. Kingy, you're such a
That's
good
a
kid.
good boy.
Brooke, do you want some?
Brooke, come here. She definitely wants some. Come here. Come here, girl.
Oh, good girl.
And please clean the floor too. Look at that. She's so kind, leaving everything squeaky clean.
Oh, Kingy's drooling.
Oh.
Good boy, Keener.
All right. And everything got used.